Good evening and welcome to the West Orange Board of Education Public Board Meeting of October 17th, 2022. I would like to thank all of you here in person and those watching from home for joining us tonight. I'd also like to welcome my fellow board members as well as Dr. Schoen and Ms. Flowers. Ms. Flowers, would you kindly take the roll call?
Good evening, everyone. Roll call, please. Mrs. Huerta.
Here.
Mr. Rock.
Here.
Mr. Stevenson.
Here.
Vice President Rothstein.
Here.
President Tunnicliffe.
Here.
Thank you. Notice of meeting. Please take notice that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in the following manner: that a written notice was sent from the office of the Secretary of the Board at 4 p.m. on January 7th, 2022. That said notice was sent by regular mail to the West Orange Township Clerk and the editors of the West Orange Chronicle and the Star Ledger. That said notice was posted in the lobby of the Administration Building of the Board of Education. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Flowers. And a special good evening to our student liaisons, Lance Zellickson and Gianna Dorval. Would you like to present a report tonight?
Yes, we would. Good evening. As a reminder, my name is Gianna Dorval. Before we bring up a concern that many students have, I would like to bring up some district-wide events that are happening. The Glee Club will be performing its annual Broadway night on October 25th, a benefit concert where there will be numerous songs from Broadway shows with a portion of the profits going to Broadway Cares / Equality Fights AIDS. West Orange High School's fall play Alice in Wonderland will be performing November 18th, 19th, and the 20th. There are also a number of sporting events where you can access the schedules at whssports.com. We encourage everyone to attend any events they can. Student Council and the ICE program ran a successful voter registration drive on October 13th and October 14th. Essex County Clerk Office came to assist with registration and gave out giveaways. Student Council officers and the other student liaisons are attending the Essex County Student Government Summit this Wednesday at Ames Caldwell High School to meet with other school student councils and exchange ideas and collaborate on our school events. Thank you. Good evening and thank you for your time. One thing I appreciate about the West Orange School District is that our schools offer a variety of different clubs that students can engage in. From different sports teams to the arts to media clubs and more, students get to explore their passions outside of the classroom. Unfortunately, due to the fact that there are no 3:30 late buses for the second year in a row, this has become a damper, creating a number of issues that affect many students. This has resulted in many of the clubs being moved to either during lunch or some choosing to remain meeting after school. For students at the high school, most students take a science class, which results in them having a lab for half the lunch period at least once a week. If there is a meeting for a club the same day and time that someone has lab, they will have to miss out on what was planned and not be as active in the club as they want, with this issue being completely out of their control. Additionally, with labs and clubs being during lunch, there are some days where I myself don't even get the chance to eat, and I'm sure there are many others who have experienced the same. Some teachers don't allow eating in their classes, so in that case, students have no choice but to not eat during lunch. For the clubs that are after school, the students who don't drive to school or don't get a ride to school simply have no way home until 5:30. This means that students either have to go to the library on the days that it's open or wait an additional 2 hours for transportation home, assuming that their meetings end at 3:30 p.m. Additionally, the availability of meeting with teachers for extra help has also been affected by the lack of 3:30 late buses. Students either have to book appointments with their teachers or show up during lunch on days that their teachers don't have lunch duty or are busy, and then lose part of their precious lunch time. Then the students who can't get rides home have to sacrifice their options of meeting with their teachers after school completely, which could result in them falling behind or even struggling further. While I understand that there has been a severe bus driver shortage, I hope that the district continues to reconsider the possibility of finding or outsourcing the 3:30 late buses and check if bus drivers are still unavailable, as the earliest late bus being at 5:30 p.m. when school ends at 2:15 makes things very difficult and complicated for students. This district prides itself on equity and access, but here is an example on how we do not have an access for a majority of our minority students, since 3:30 buses have been cut from the budget completely. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ma'am?
Dr. Schoen.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Clarence, that was beautifully articulated,
Thank you.
and all of your points are accurate. And you're right, right? We want to have access and equity for all of our students, and not having the ability for a 3:30 bus stops that.
Yes.
And all of the examples that you've talked about, we are aware of. We're working with our transportation department. You hit the nail on the head when you said, hey, listen, there's a bus driver shortage. There is, but we're not going to stop looking, and we're going to look to see what we can do to ensure that this will be part of our budget next year. But you are absolutely positively right with everything that you're saying, but please know that we're trying.
Okay, thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you, Liz.
Okay. Dr. Schoen, it's time for your report, and I believe we have a presentation tonight.
We
Would you
do.
like to share your
We
report?
do, and I would. And good evening, everyone. I'd like this evening if we could start off with Dr. Tamika Pollins. She is our Director of Diversity, Equity, Access, Inclusion. Okay, I should have said, yeah. So if the board could kindly sit in the first row and we can provide that opportunity so we can have an update as to where we're at, that would be great. Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I am going to present just a few updates. I took on this role in July, and Dr. Schoen and I quickly got to meeting to talk about what the year is going to look like for all of us in preparing for the school year in the space of diversity, equity, access, and inclusion being a key focus for our students, our families, and our staff. We unpacked what we heard from different perspectives about the past to help drive our decisions for the future. And she and I meet consistently, sometimes almost weekly, to discuss this work. Okay. One of the things that we did back in August, Dr. Schoen and I had an opportunity to speak with Dr. David Jones. He is chair of the West Orange Human Relations Commission and also does equity work. We had a great conversation with him, and that included idea sharing. And Dr. Jones also had the opportunity to provide us with some useful resources. Okay. During the first administrator leadership team meeting of the year in August, in the morning, we had a training by the New Jersey Bar Foundation. The session was titled Beyond Bias, Talking About Race. This was a powerful opportunity for us to learn together and have moments of vulnerability with personal sharing about our own lived experiences. We transitioned to the afternoon by doing an activity on the power of communication. As we know, communication is extremely important in general, but even more so when we are speaking about very sensitive topics. Conversations and training around DEAI will continue to take place during our administrative leadership team meetings for all administrators. And during our most recent meeting, we had a presentation facilitated by three of our very own teachers, Molly Eason and Althea Farella, from Edison and Hillary Rubenstein from Roosevelt on the proper usage of pronouns. Dr. Vespignani and the Human Resources team organized a 2-day onboarding for new staff. I had the opportunity to design and facilitate a session and enjoyed my time with our new staff. The focus of the session was on how external barriers can impede on academic success and what we can do internally to lessen or remove those barriers. We discussed the dimensions of cultural competency in the institutional, personal, and instructional space. Each person was asked to think of their own personal equity framework and how they were served as a champion for the students of West Orange. I had the opportunity to book 30-minute one-on-one sessions with each of our principals to review training that they would then share with their staff. The messaging was around review of microaggressions, inclusive of micro assaults, micro insults, and micro invalidations, review of implicit and explicit bias, how to confront biases, and strategies to create an inclusive environment. And part of the reason to unpack the session with each principal was just to make sure that we had common messaging across the board. In thinking of partnerships, we are members of Kean University's Diversity Council on Global Education and Citizenship. The council sponsors professional development sessions that explore diversity-related themes and various topics that are inclusive of bullying, Holocaust and genocide education, civil rights, and confronting human rights abuses. They will have a virtual student leadership conference this year that some of our high school students will be able to attend. The theme for this year is Speak Your Truth. We are collaborating to co-facilitate 3 virtual evening sessions for the entire school community. One will be in December around the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights and its importance. DEAI has been identified as a common district goal. In support of that, we have secured membership with the New Jersey Consortia for Excellence Through Equity for the administrative team. They have access to a series of sessions that cover various topics that support their work outside of the PD that we provide in district. I'm working under Dr. Vespignani's leadership regarding some human resources initiatives. We have continued commitment to diversifying our staff. I attended the Diversifying the Teacher Workforce Conference to hear the state's initiative on this work. This week, I'm partnering with some administrators to conduct interviews of potential candidates who apply to participate in our diversity career fair. On the 19th, Dr. Vespignani and I will host a meeting with our new teachers as part of our new teacher academy. We have one more parent session on October 27th around courageous conversations. I met with the facilitators and we are adjusting this session just a little bit to be open to all parents because some couldn't get to the first or second session. There will be an updated flyer that goes out with a Zoom link so that parents can participate. Some of the conversation that came up in the past session were discussions including your name as an identity marker, common language, appreciating and honoring individuals as they show up, early memories around race-related conversations, a self-assessment via an allyship continuum, ways to support LGBTQ+ community, which was inclusive of using pronouns correctly. So we have reshaped the DEAI committee for this year to be internal staff members with opportunities for input from different stakeholders. We will use various points to inform our work. One of these will be the information that we received when Hanover Research did a data equity analysis. 3 things that popped up were disciplinary incidents, gifted and talented, and special education referrals. Hanover analyzed past data beginning in 2017 up to 2021. There were findings that showed that there was a high level of disciplinary incidents regarding students of color. There was a low representation of students of color in the gifted and talented program, and a high level of students of color with referrals for special education programming. In reference to disciplinary incidents, the PD at the beginning of the year that was designed for teachers also included monitoring discourse style, being sensitive to how diverse cultures deal with conflict, setting and clarifying expectations, emphasizing and creating a positive environment, not a punitive one, also sensitivity to mental health related issues. In regard to gifted and talented program, grades 2 3, 4, and 5 are now taking the same screener for consistency. Now that the second grade NNAT assessment can be used by all states. Before that wasn't the case, second graders took the InView. Teachers utilize a teacher inventory that is comprised of characteristics of giftedness that can be used to support the identification of students. The GNT team provides an overview for teachers of our high achieving student and a gifted learner. Currently, the third grade GNT class consists of 64% students of color. Fourth grade has a 60% enrollment of students of color, and fifth grade has 64%. And the second graders, along with grades 3, 4, and 5, will take the NNAT in November. I have shared the special education referral findings with the executive and interim director of special services in an effort to support the implementation of a clear referral system, including specific criteria, documentation of evidence-based interventions, data and evaluation procedures. The department will continue to ensure that the staff knows the requirements and criteria for referral and is kept abreast of current research affecting the process. We'll continue to check that the student's general education program uses instructional strategies appropriate for the student, has been adjusted to address the student's areas of difficulty, includes ongoing communication with the student's family, and reflects a culturally responsive learning environment. They will also involve families in the decision to refer students in ways that are sensitive to the family's cultural background. So the membership of the DEAI committee consists of the members of the superintendent's executive cabinet, and you can see here their names and their roles within the district. Also, our school principals and our supervisor of early childhood education. And here you'll see just the last list of our principals who will be serving on the committee, and we will be engaging in conversations during our regularly scheduled principals meetings. There will be opportunities to engage various stakeholders. I will host open office hours at schools to hear from teachers, and teachers have access to me via phone, call, or email. Student voices are paramount to this work, as they are the reason we're all here. I look forward to speaking to them when I'm visiting schools, at events, and look forward to meeting with students during their council meetings. Also, we will get the parent perspective through parent focus groups. Principals have provided me with the name of 2 parents per school. I also received names from the executive director of special services of parents who will take part in the focus group. Our first meeting is November 2nd, virtually at 7 o'clock, and I look forward to meeting with them. Lastly, those are just some updates in regard to DEI. I'll be before you again in a couple months with another update. I'm looking forward to the continued work that we do in a collaborative way to ensure that we are providing the best opportunities for our students in an inclusive environment, and we are welcoming students as they authentically are. Thank you.
Oops, sorry. Hi, thank you, Dr. Pollins. You've been quite busy since July. It's an impressive report. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Do any of the board members have any questions or comments about the presentation? And that includes the student as well.
No, just to thank you. Always so amazing to see the terrific direction the district is moving in, and thank you so much for demonstrating all of that.
Okay, great. So we'll move on. Thank you for the presentation. Back to the board. Do we have any committee reports that anyone would like to share? Nope. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. For my report, I want to just share a little bit of highlights from the St. Cloud Elementary School. So far, St. Cloud School has had a fantastic fall. We are happy to welcome a new primary autism class to St. Cloud. And a big shout out to the St. Cloud PTA for going above and beyond by kicking off the school year with a new parent breakfast, a teacher appreciation wish list, a back to school family day, and an after school enrichment program. They've had a great time celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month with cultural highlights featuring music, history, and fun facts shared by the students during the morning announcements. We are looking forward to the bus safety week and showing gratitude to the dedicated bus drivers for Mount Pleasant. We are also looking forward to celebrating our upcoming trunk or treat fall celebration at Mount Pleasant. And on behalf of the entire St. Cloud school community, the principal, Mr. Price, would like to thank Dr. Schoen and the board for their support of our school community. Oh, that's nice. So the next item on the agenda is the first reading of two policies. One is number 5512 and the other is 8505. Is that, do you need a motion? No. So there's no motion for the first reading. So next we will move on to questions from the public on agenda items only. Any community member who would like to make comments or ask questions, you may come to the lectern at this time. Please state your name and home address for the record, and then you may begin your comments. You will have 3 minutes. And if there's any members, please come to the lectern. Okay, seeing none, we'll move right on to our resolutions. So may I have a motion to approve the personnel items A1 through A8?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Rock. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Oh, did I? I'll go back to it. Yeah. Okay, so before we vote, I wanted to congratulate our retiree, Dr. William Farley, a music teacher at the high school, on his 23 years of service. I also want to congratulate Maureen Del Plato, a paraprofessional at Redwood, for 21 years of service. We also have Luz Venegas, a custodian at Liberty, for 17 years of service. So we wish all of these folks on our behalf of the Board of Education, we wish them all the best as they move into the Everyday is Saturday Club. I also wanted to thank Mr. Melendez for stepping up into the acting principal role at Edison, and also a congratulations out to Dr. Carrie Orange Jones in her new role as assistant principal. We wish you both well this year. I know you'll make a great team. So any board member discussion? No? Okay, seeing none, Ms. Flowers, would you kindly take the roll call?
Mrs. Huerta,
Yes.
Mr. Rock,
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson,
Yes.
Vice President Rothstein,
Yes.
President Tunnicliff.
Yes,
Thank you. President Tunnicliff, we have to go back to approve the minutes.
we do.
please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. In consideration of the closed and public meeting minutes of September 19th, 2022, do I have a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Huerta. Any comments? Seeing no comments, would you kindly take the roll call?
Ms. Huerta,
Yes.
Mr. Rock,
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson,
Yes.
Vice President Rothstein,
Yes.
President Tunnicliff.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we will move on to
B.
I'd like to have a motion to approve the curriculum and instruction items B1 through B9.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Rock. Any discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Flowers, could you take the roll call?
Ms. Huerta,
Yes.
Mr. Rock,
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson,
Yes.
Vice President Rothstein,
Yes.
President Tunnicliff.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. I'd like a motion to approve the items C for special services items, numbers 1 through 5, and business office items number 1 through 12.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Rock. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Any discussion? No? Okay. You may take the roll call, Ms. Flowers.
Ms. Huerta,
Yes.
Mr. Rock,
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson,
Yes.
Vice President Rothstein,
Yes.
President Tunnicliff.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then finally, I'd like to have a motion to approve the HIB report, which is item D or D, item 1.
Moved.
Thank you, Vice President Rothstein. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Huerta. Any discussion? No. Seeing none, Ms. Flowers, you could take a roll call.
Ms. Huerta,
Yes.
Mr. Rock,
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson,
Yes.
Vice President Rothstein,
Yes.
President Tunnicliff.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to all my board colleagues. Next up, we have petitions and hearings of citizens on any agenda or non-agenda items that you wish to discuss. You will have 3 minutes to speak. And if you'd like to approach the lectern at this time and state your name and address for the record, we'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Marie DeMayo. I'm president of the West Orange Administrators Association, and I'm the principal at Washington. Good evening, Dr. Schoen, members of the Board of Education, Ms. Flowers, and the student liaisons. I want to call your attention to the red shirts in the room. The red shirts demonstrate the unity of our members and how unhappy we are that we don't have a contract agreement with the board. I have been a teacher and administrator for many years and on the negotiating team as well. We have never been brought to impasse. The WOAA is the backbone of the district. The administrators and teachers keep everything moving in the right direction every day of the year in our schools. During our negotiation sessions, the board attorney has referred to those members who have high salaries as a problem for negotiations. First of all, this is insulting to our members who have been dedicated professionals to our students in our district. Our members have worked hard and continued their education, which enabled them to move through the steps of the salary guide and attain these salaries. No one just handed us a salary. We worked for it and we earned it. Please, Board of Education members, it's time to come back to the negotiating table and work with the WOAA. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayo.
Thank you, Dr. Schoen, and members of the Board of Education. I'm Eric Price, the proud principal of St. Cloud Elementary School. This evening, I'm speaking on behalf of the West Orange Administrators Association's negotiations team, as well as for the stellar membership of the WOAA. For the past 6 months, the WOAA has engaged in good faith talks with members of the Board of Education and their legal counsel, Matthew Jacoby, to formulate a fair and reasonable collective bargaining agreement. We had anticipated that the board and the negotiations team would meet at the end of August. However, on September 21st, the WOAA was unexpectedly advised by Matthew Jacoby that the board's negotiation team was filing with the Public Employee Relations Committee, declaring that the negotiations were at an impasse. The West Orange Administrations Association was deeply disappointed in this unfortunate decision. In all of our institutional memory, the WOAA cannot recall a time when the association was dealt with in a similar fashion during negotiations. The West Orange Administration Association is composed of content supervisors, vice principals, directors, and principals who have collectively given decades of uncompromising service to the children and families of the West Orange Public Schools. The membership has always risen to each and every challenge laid before them and have always put the children of this incredible community first. We are extremely proud of the accomplishments of the West Orange Public Schools. These past few years have not been easy, but because of the professionalism, dedication, and commitment of our membership, along with the faculty and staff in each one of our schools, we all rose to that challenge. Our membership's commitment to diversity, equity, and access has made West Orange Public Schools a model for a caring and inclusive school community. Our relationship to our Board of Education has always been collaborative and highly productive. We deeply appreciate that relationship, and we truly wish to continue it to flourish. We are respectfully asking that the Board of Education come back to the negotiation table so we can, in good faith, settle on a contract that honors the fine work of the district leadership team and the West Orange community as a whole. We sincerely look forward to the opportunity to resume negotiations and to bring a resolution to this process. So on behalf of the WOAA, thank you for all of your dedication and work on behalf of the families of West Orange. We honor that dedication. We honor that service. We honor you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mark Maniscalco and I work at the high school. I also represent the teachers, paraprofessionals, administrative assistants, security officers, and computer techs of this district. I rise today in support of our colleagues in the administrative ranks. As someone who has worked here for a very long time and who has been involved in negotiations for decades, I fully understand that the process can be contentious and that sometimes things just take time. Negotiations are difficult, no doubt, but the thing about difficult tasks is that the way to get them done is to keep at it, to not stop, to grind until something acceptable is achieved. I urge the BOE to come back to the table. While the presence of a mediator may indeed help in arriving at a settlement, if you return to the table now in good faith, the two sides may still manage to quickly find common ground. And if not, when a mediator becomes available, it will be another chance to forge a settlement, and perhaps the continued efforts will make clearer and closer any issues that remain. Working every day without a contract is daunting and unsettling. It makes people feel nervous, uncertain, and unappreciated. It makes people unhappy and resentful when, like our administrators and our staff, people spend their days going above and beyond what is actually required by their jobs. It is just no way to come every day to a job that requires the best of us. Like WOEA, the Administrators Association is not a group that has ever demanded outrageous terms in their negotiations. They always look for a reasonable settlement, well within the range of settlements around the state. They simply want a contract that is solid, one that is designed so that West Orange can not only attract, but importantly, to retain excellent administrators. I would hope that the board shares this attitude. Most of our administrators are West Orange lifers, and the newer ones mostly hope to stay here for the remainder of their careers. We should all want that as well. These are excellent professionals who we should want to keep as long as we can. The members of the WOAA, along with those of WOEA, form the front line in our system. Our combined forces are the ones actually providing instruction and dealing with students and parents on a day-to-day basis. Together, we lift our students up and applaud them. Some days we wipe the tears of our children and even our parents. We do not merely hold jobs. These are callings to public service, and callings require truly special people. No one in education expects to get rich, and I am certain that the administrators have not proposed terms that would suddenly turn them into oligarchs. But especially in a time of rampant inflation, they should be fairly compensated. They should not go backwards. And they should be working under terms that make them want to stay for the long haul. If we want the best for our students, our parents, our town, we need to make sure that we offer contracts that attract the best talent and that fairly reward those who dedicate decades of their lives to service in West Orange. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, all. Cindy Matute Brown, a resident. I come to you, and as well as an elected official. I understand how difficult these processes are for all of us. I sit in your shoes on the town side. But I also know, as a resident whose children have been through this school district quite successfully, 3 of them. Oldest is 32, 29, and 27. I am still very committed to making sure that I participate in the board processes, make sure that I continue to support our school systems because my children benefited from them. And I know how much our community benefits from them. I am I was alarmed when I was informed that there was an impasse that the board voted on for our administrators. And the concern for me is the one that so many of us share. We all know that everyone is leaving, too many are leaving the profession. We are talking about longstanding administrators that have made the success that West Orange School District is. I'm here on behalf of all of our educators, our superiors, to ask that you please come back to the negotiation table and please stop this impasse, settle a fair contract. They have given so much more than anyone can understand. And I don't think that this is the right place for us to be. The other issue I want to address that's been brought to my attention is that there is no longer a response from the board when the parents take their time to come and share their concerns with you. I think that that is sending a bad message. It's the message that I'm getting from constituents that the board is no longer answering their concerns. They're here, they're advocating, and they want to hear responses. So I thank you for your time and attention. I hope that you will reconsider your position and come back to the negotiation table. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all of you being here. We will take your request under consideration. Okay. So that. Okay. Sorry, I just need to find my place. So that concludes our meeting for tonight. The next meeting will be the special board meeting on November 7th, 2022 for a student data presentation of the 2021-2022 school year. That will be at 6 p.m. here in the LMC. Followed by that, our next regular board meeting will be held at 7:30 p.m. November 21st, 2022. This meeting will be held in the West Orange High School right here in the Library Media Center. We will not be returning to executive session after the close of this meeting. There will be no further business discussed and no additional action will be taken. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Rock. Second,
Seconded.
all in favor? Aye. This meeting is now adjourned.